The Inn at the End of Things is an Acorn Arts and Entertainment podcast, independently produced by a small group of creators in Southeast Michigan. Since we run the show ad-free, we rely entirely on support from listeners like you to keep the Inn's hearth fire burning through the night. You can support us and receive bonus content with a one-time donation at www.acornartsandentertainment.com/The Inn, or by joining the Hall of Patrons within our Patreon community. Even the price of a cup of coffee goes a long way to keeping the lights on for our little inn. As folktale enthusiasts instead of academics, this is your friendly reminder that our folk and fairy tales come from the older, grimmer end of the woods, and can contain material not suitable for all audiences, so listener discretion is advised. And recommended for your 5-star stay with us, the inn is best experienced somewhere cozy with a good blanket. Thanks so much for your support, and welcome. There you are. Welcome back, Pilgrim. I was wondering when we'd see you back in our neck of the woods again. I'm glad your feet have found their way back to the inn at the end of things. Oh, put it over there. No, down there. Boys, look where I'm pointing. There you go. Gently now, it's nearly 600 years old, and nobody over the age of 30 likes getting slammed anywhere. Here, set the right side down first. No, don't mind that there, just push it over to the side. Don't mind the mess. As you can see, we're cleaning out the cobwebs and the clutter from the corners, because some of us can't tell the difference between a guest and a 9-tailed fox when they see one. And, well, now we're all spring cleaning. No matter, it was time to purge some needful things anyway. Waylon, you set those down there, and be careful. That mirror is older than most of the mountains your folk have names for.
You got it, Cap. Nice and easy.
Break that, and you'll find more than 7 years' luck breathing down your neck. That mirror's a mean bugger, and no doubt. I've yet to see it show an honest reflection. It magnifies all the deflections, shows the little ripples of indecision, all those busy little gnats you've picked up along the way, buzzing about as something important. All the shoulda, woulda, couldas. Silly little glimmers in the corner of your eye, doing their best to pretend themselves into something of substance, and worry you into all sorts of foolishness. This mirror has yet to show a true thing, but that rarely matters, does it? Kian, will you and Waylon get this out of the way of the guests?
Aye. Quicker than a flash, Captain.
No, keep it covered. We've had enough gauche for one evening, thank you very much. And careful up the stairs. What did I just say? Now then, what brings you in this evening? Beyond a sore back and a weary heart, eh? Well, nothing a glimmer of light and a bit of night sparkle can't fix. Come along. No, not by the fire just yet. Around here. Just down this way. And here we are, through the 7th side door, just there on the left. There you go. Nothing a few minutes with a cool drink on the back porch and a field of fireflies can't fix. Or are they simply the wee folk, flitting about with their lanterns on the evening's business? What say we linger for a bit, find out? Let's sit you down and get your feet up. Shoes off first, that's it. No need to keep pinching your feet and punishing your soles. Let them breathe for a minute. Matter of fact, I'll join you. Let's free up those piggies into the cool of the night breeze. Oh, come, you can't take yourself so seriously all the time. Toes out, not another word. Close your eyes. That's it. How about a wiggle for an old lady? That's better. Now we'll wiggle again. Left foot, right foot, both together. Stretch out your feet. Give those arches a bit of a flex. That's right. And now ball them back. Fists with your toes, you know the drill. And back to stretch, really letting the tension out through your toes. Like a pair of cats flexing their bodies after a good nap in the sun. And now up to the ankles. Let's roll them about a bit first. Rolling them to the outside. And then a few turns to the inside. Getting all the crunchies out. That's it. They're good, loyal puppies and will stand a lot for the one they love. They do a lot of work for you, your dogs do. No wonder they're barking. So let's love 'em back, shall we? Last few crunchies and complaints from the ankles, and then we'll stretch out the calves. Feeling the tension, the pull, never-ending tune-up with the knees, and we'll just pull them up like little froggy legs and straighten again. And let's do another nice little easy froggy glide in your sheets. And one more. Hold the pull in your thighs just a bit longer. Make sure we've gotten out all the tension. And when you're ready, release. Perfect. Now we can just relax and breathe. Feeling the wind tickling your toes. Keeping your eyes closed. As you look out across this field at all those fireflies. This little glen grows in the middle of all these mighty woods, a slip of calm in the middle of chaos, fed by a little brook, and well tended by all who make their home here. It is a haven of peace to all whose roads cross through. You can feel the soft grass beneath your feet and know that you are safe here tonight before tomorrow's travels. No matter where the mind meanders, no matter how you got here, no matter where you will go, this is a safe haven. The fireflies know. That's why they come here to dance. They like music. Well, what's the use of looking after a magical inn in the middle of nowhere if you can't enjoy the perks from time to time? Here. We found this beauty in one of the trunks upstairs. left by a guest a few years back, and I suppose they've never thought about it twice, since it now has a home here. I suppose there are shinier instruments in the world, but this... this flute has a fine sound. And it likes to play itself, so one can fully appreciate the fireflies uninterrupted. Don't they do a fine quadrille? It is always an honor to witness a waltz of love, no matter where you find it. Now, I've got to go make sure that nothing nasty's gotten broken while we've had our little sit. But I'll send someone round in a moment or two to find you with a bite and a sip of something good. Enjoy the light show.
Mind if I join you? I've been sent with good tea to take the evening air with you. Cheers. I am Haru, and the pleasure is always mine. It's been a long day, and I'm grateful for the stop and the stretch and the sleep. You're an interesting one, aren't you? Something familiar about your face. Something guarded. Excuse me, well kept. Mysterious stranger in the middle of the night? Not exactly the time to spill life stories and compare notes, is it? Still, one can share a sip with a new friend and take in a bit of scenery. That's fine brew there. No tea like it in the world. It tastes of memory, of springtime trickling down the mountain stream. Fresh plums snuck away when no one's looking, to share later with your brothers. Sweet juice running down our cheeks, mingling with the tears from holding in your giggles and their whispered secrets, while nightingales keep us company long into the night. A good memory, an old one. I can see you looking at my hat. No avoiding it. It's awful, isn't it? It's not very flattering, but a man can only do so much in an emergency. It's a long story. Maybe not a good one, but then again, it can't be half as bad as this hat, can it? And I think there's just enough tea here to do it justice. I come from a village in the mountains and have always done well enough for myself, being a man of business and a carpenter by trade. In my village, there is a large and prosperous family that has acquired a small fortune in rice wine. 3 nights ago, on the festival of the autumn moon, they had a number of guests at their house, feasting on sake and fish, and of course, as a rising man of business, I had ensured my invitation over the course of several weeks. A bit of coin spent in the right tavern can get you far in this world, friend. and wine merchants always need wooden barrels on hand. So as the night went on, the wine cups went around, and the conversation turned to foxes. Being well into my 7th cup, I somehow positioned myself into the right corner with a half-drunken monk and the host of the evening, the merchant himself. However, after a few attempts to redirect the flow of talk back to wooden barrels, I resigned myself to many long, tedious minutes of 2 old men arguing over magic and nonsense until I could take it no longer and blurted out, "Magic? Powers? Tricks? How can foxes have powers? How can they bewitch anyone? They're foxes! Whoever can get tricked by a dumb animal must not have any brains to begin with." The monk snorted and took the sake cup from my hand. Haru knows little of how the world works, or he will sit down and shut up about what he doesn't understand. There have been 27 men tricked by foxes on the moors this year alone. 27 sightings. It's hard to disprove facts that happen before your eyes. "You're a pack of idiots and cowards," I said. "I will go out to the moors tonight and prove you all wrong. There's no fox alive that could fool me." "If you come back and nothing's happened," said the monk, finishing his sake in one swallow, "we'll pay for your food and drinks for the night. If you come back bewitched, you get to do the same for everyone here." Well, winters get cold in my village, and I finished my 8th cup of sake to brace myself for the journey, taking the bet with a flourish and a rousing cheer from the rest of the company. Moments later, midnight found me all alone, stumbling against the dark with a half moon to guide me, following the narrow path to the edge of the moor. A small bamboo grove lay before me, and suddenly, in the corner of my eye, I saw a small shadow with a long bushy tail dart into tall shoots that lined the path. A moment later, the daughter of the headman of the next village to the north walked out from behind the bamboo leaves. "Where are you going to, sir?" she asked, her voice low and honeyed. I stiffened and tried to ignore the furious beating of my heart at the audacity of this little charade, for surely only one sly creature could think me fool enough to fall for it. But I kept my face friendly and my voice light as I replied that I was heading to the next village over. "Ah, I see," she said, lowering her eyes respectfully. "You will pass by my childhood home where I am returning to visit my parents. If you will allow me, perhaps we can share the path that far." I nearly laughed aloud. This fox's disguise was so obvious, and while my heart nearly beat out of my chest, I decided to play along until I could turn the tables. So I answered that, since her parents' home was on my way, I would be glad to be her escort for the evening. I bowed gallantly and waved her on so that she might go before me on the narrow path. She smiled and blushed and began to speak of idle village gossip, so-and-so's sister marrying such and such, and sorting out so on with so forth, until my ears buzzed with her voice and my eyes nearly drooped shut. "Not now," I thought to myself, and pinched my leg before going much further. "Keep your wits about you. Now is not the time for sleep." Her laugh tinkled before me, and I narrowed my eyes toward the bottom of her hem to try to catch a glimpse of a tail peeping out from underneath her kimono as we navigated the rocks and stones of the trail. But though I strained against the dark with my lantern, I could see nothing. At last, we came to the village, and when we reached the home, the door was opened by a bleary-eyed family, befuddled and surprised in their night clothes. "Oh dear, coming in the middle of the night, my girl. What can it mean?" asked the father, blinking against my lantern light. The mother and the girl's several sisters were quicker and pulled her into the house, firing away a barrage of questions while they sat her down. I pulled the father aside and whispered urgently, "This girl who has come to me is not really your daughter. When I was coming across the moor, I saw a fox along the path, and not a moment later she stepped out of the bamboo grove. She offered to accompany me this far on my journey, and I pretended to be taken in, but I can tell you, sir, this is a poor trick by an animal." The mother who had left the girl with her daughters to come back to the door scoffed loudly. "That's a pretty way of insulting people's children," she huffed. "Don't you think I know my own girl? How dare you invent such lies?" "Madam," I said, "you're quite right to defend your family. But there is still no doubt this is a case of animal bewitchment and foolishness." The old man put his head to one side and mused, "What do you propose we do?" "Leave the matter to me, sir. I'll soon have the truth." I went back inside the kitchen and, well, I am not proud of myself. I confronted the girl in front of her parents and sisters, and I suppose I shouted quite a lot, but she would not change back and only began to sob. I looked to the family for help, who also started loudly to denounce her and cry out that she was not theirs, but merely a trick sent to haunt them by the foxes and the ghosts of the moors. The girl wailed that she was indeed their daughter and begged and pleaded with them to hear her, to ask her anything only she might know. She had an answer for each of their questions, secrets between themselves that I listened to with great scrutiny as the confusion grew louder and louder. I wish I could say I held back, but we were all hurling accusations, caught up in confirming the bewitchment we knew to be true. All at once, the girl gave out a final cry, reached out and touched her mother's face, whispering that she forgave them all and they would meet again. Her eyes closed, and she breathed her last. With triumph, I reached out and rolled the girl over, but she stayed as before, no tail appearing, no ears popping up among her hair. I felt quickly for the pulse, but there was no heartbeat, and her blood had run cold. I drew back with a shudder, straight into the arms of two of the biggest men I had ever seen in my life, servants of the old man. "But it can't be. I don't understand. This is impossible," I gasped weakly, flailing against their strong grip. The sounds of grief that rang through that house, friend. I'll spare you the details, but needless to say, there I was trapped in the grip of two enormous sons of trolls in the employ of this good old gentleman, while he cried out that I killed his daughter and must be brought before his lord in revenge. My life now, forfeit for hers. At that very moment, my heart sank all the way into my toes, and with those toes dangling about an inch off the ground, it all seemed very hopeless, but suddenly, there came a knock at the front door. "Is all well with the honorable master of this house?" And whose face should appear around the door but the very monk I met back at the festival, the author of my drunken bet and all the rest of this insanity. "We would invite you inside and would be greatly honored by your company," said the old father, bowing low before the kindly monk. "But we are in the midst of a crisis, so I must beg that you excuse us." "Oh, sir," I cried out, "am I glad to see you. Please explain to this gentleman about our bet earlier this evening and tell them to put me down." "Is that Haru there?" asked the monk. "Goodness, what's happened to you?" "Oh," I said, "it has been a night of this, that, and big helping of the other. After our bet earlier, I saw this young lady on the road, and I could have sworn she was the fox. I swear to you, after our conversation, you see, there were signs. Sure signs, lots of signs, but I suppose in the long and the short view of things, I may have been a bit wrong about one or two of those signs. And it's really not fair, as I was trying to explain to the good gentleman over here, to hold somebody accountable for girls accidentally dying of broken hearts. And would you look at that? It is getting ridiculously late, so I think the best thing for everybody would be for me to just go on my way. Haru, enough, sighed the monk, shaking his head. He laid his hand on the girl's forehead and murmured a prayer as I turned my face in shame, resigned in the arms of my captors. Finally, the monk turned back to the rest of us and spoke. "This man is troubled," he said, "and I am afraid I must bear some responsibility for his confusion, led on by strong rice wine and foolishness. Allow me to take charge of him, rather than to bring the burden of vengeance down on your family along with your grief." The old man stiffened. "Revenge will not bring our daughter back, but we must seek justice." The priest bowed his head. "It would seem that, though I am but a foolish old priest, my coming here has been well timed. Putting this man to death won't bring your daughter to life again. I have heard his story, and there certainly was no malice on his part. What he did thinking to do service to your family, strangers he did not know, and yet wished to protect. He wishes, moreover, to give himself over to become my disciple." I do, I exclaimed, falling on my knees as the two servants let my arms go. "I devote my life to your study and swear to become a priest in this very minute." "It is done," answered the monk, putting hands together in a gesture of prayer. Then, before I could take a breath, the old monk was behind me, a razor in his hand and a hymn on his lip. I squeezed my eyes shut and prayed as loudly as I could, determined to show the family just how much my head belonged on my reformed shoulders as the razor scraped along my scalp. Suddenly, there was a great laugh. "Looks like you owe quite a few drinks back home," barked out the priest. I opened my eyes to the bright break of day peeking over the horizon. I was alone in the middle of the open moor, with the wind whipping around my freshly shaved head. Everything about me, the house, the monk, the family, the two enormous servants at the door, the very door itself, had vanished into thin air. Out of the corner of my eye, I could just make out a shadow of a bushy tail whip around a stiff patch of weeds, disappearing into the thicket without another sound. So it may not be a good hat, but at least it covers most of the damage. If I wear it at this angle, you can't really tell, can you? It's a bold man that makes promises with full cups at night, and a sorry man that pays for the empty ones in the morning. I can't show my face back home. I'll be the running joke of my village for years. You don't understand. I'll never be able to step foot in that tavern again. Maybe the bet wasn't even real. Maybe I won't have to cover everyone's tab. Or maybe I'll just wander alone for the rest of my days and never go back home. Or at the very least, never until my hair grows back. I know you can't tell, but I really did have a magnificent head of hair. Runs in the family, you know. I should have never listened to that monk. Fox or monk. No, wait. Stranger, I'm not perfect. And this has been a very confusing 2 days. I know when I've been had, but I just couldn't stand by while that old man was being taken advantage of. He looked like my father, and the whole family seemed so nice. I just couldn't let some kitsune come in with all this mischief while I whistled along my way, even if everyone turned out to be foxes all along. And you know what? I'm not sorry for it, because you try to help people. Even if you do it imperfectly sometimes. I'm sorry for the loud claims I made while I was drunk, but I'm not sorry for looking out for that family. And I'd do it, well, I think I'd actually do it very differently next time. I will do it a little better next time. Tomorrow's winds will blow tomorrow, I suppose. No use agonizing over the future. What do you think?
I think you should take that goofy hat off and let the sun and the rain and the wind knock a bit of sense into that freshly shaved head of yours. It looks good on you, and you've plenty of jawline to make it work. Besides, being a man of faith might suit you more than you think.
You don't think it's ridiculous?
Of course not. You've got the right head shape for it.
You really think so?
I do. And I have excellent taste, so there's no use doubting it. My good Master Haru, I meant to ask you about these beautiful cups you left with us during your last stay. I'm so glad you found them again for tonight. Aren't they exquisite, Pilgrim?
In my home, we hold great reverence for ceramics made with the art of kintsugi, the method of golden repair. You see here where the line of golden lacquer has been applied to the cracked line in this cup? Delicate precision after decades of practice. Kintsugi is a practice of mushin, the practice of no mind. It is the act of letting go of all the assumptions and desire of the ego and embracing this cup as it is, with its breaks here and its little cracks there, rather than as I would have it be. It doesn't have to look new. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a good cup. It can hold good tea. It doesn't need to be thrown out. It just needs a little care to reseal the cracks. A vessel can still be worthy of water, even when it's not perfect. Sometimes we just need a little care to be whole again.
And why paint the lacquer gold? Why not make it the same as the rest of the cup, so the crack blends back in?
Highlighting the cracks shows that our respect. We celebrate each of the breaks that show the full life of this cup, that tell its whole story, cracks and all. There is great beauty in the cracks of things. Just because something has known damage doesn't make it less beautiful. There's so much perfection to be found in imperfection.
Sounds like perfect advice from the kind of monk who could make a daily practice of helping others imperfectly.
Don't think I didn't see what you did there. I could have gotten around to that myself.
And no doubt quicker than I could hope to keep up. But I know for a fact Waylon wouldn't mind learning more about kintsugi. And I know for another fact he could use an extra hand with that enchanted china hutch in the blue dining room. It keeps spitting out salad plates, and I'm afraid there will soon be more reasons to practice the distinguished art of kintsugi than we have time or golden lacquer for.
Madam, only ask once, and it is already done.
You're an absolute darling. Second hole on the left, and help yourself to the rest of that supper once you two have it sorted out.
Thank you. And my thanks to you, friend. I'm afraid I did most of the story sharing, but you're a fine listener, and I'm glad I could get it off my chest. I hope you don't judge me too harshly for my part. I walk about as imperfect as the next person, and next time I can do a little bit better imperfectly. That's as good a reason as any to be kind to each stranger I meet on the road, especially over drinks. I never know when the person across from me will bark out a laugh and turn out to be a monk or a fox, collecting an old bet. And when he shows up, I will make good on that bet, toasting him with a full heart and a bare head. Good night, and my thanks. Madam, I will leave this with you for my stay.
An emerald orb is a fine gift, and we'll take it with gratitude. As ever, you can stay as long as you'd like, Master Haru. I can guarantee your peace here, sir, as we have confirmed in accordance with the old ways that there are no foxes here this evening. And when you're ready, you'll feel refreshed to meet your pilgrimage anew.
May peace ever linger at this door, and good fortune follow your steps when you leave it.
Well, I am glad you got to meet Haru. Even if he's a bit brash, he's got a good heart. I think he'll make a fine monk in no time. And who knows? Perhaps one day a monk with a barking laugh and 9 tails peeking under his robe will make his way back to our door for this fine green orb. But not to worry. We'll be ready. And we'll be sure to hide the shaving cream. But off to bed with you. The fireflies have long since turned in. Now it's your turn. You have the key, of course. And you remember your way back to your room. You'll find it exactly as you left it, with the windows open to catch a little of this night breeze. Or if you'd like to wander a bit more of the night away and consider the motives of moors and foxes, you are ever our guest. The rooms that are welcome to you will open for you. Let the flute and the flickers of fireflies guide your heart to peace and rest here tonight at the inn at the end of things. You've been listening to The Inn at the End of Things, an Acorn Arts and Entertainment production. Tonight's tale featured performances by Crystal Delahue as Aiden the Gardener, Jonathan Jones as Greg the Gargoyle, and Luna Alexander as the Innkeeper. Tonight's episode was written by Luna Alexander, with production support from Josie Eli Herman and Michael Allen Herman. As our evening draws to a close, we'd like to pause here within our Hall of Patrons to thank the many wanderers, voyageurs, and fellow night owls who keep our hearth fires burning long into the night. Whether you're a member of our Patreon community or have donated independently, we salute you and say thanks. We couldn't do it without your support. This week's list of hallowed heroes includes Sarah McNitt, Amanda Logston, Jason Such, Brian LeDuc, Ruth Needler, Joanna Corina Palaska, Chris Hoffman Kraske, Patricia Tuma, John Stanford, Lindsay Harris Friel, Robin Schwalanek Krenzel. A special thank you to the Plymouth Community Arts Council for their sponsorship of our first season, and a reminder to support your local arts communities. May your generosity be returned threefold.